Hello, in this video we're going to be using everything that we've learnt thus far to build the appointments window. So go and grab a cup of coffee and I'll be right back after these few words. Hello, you're listening to Martin, and this is another video in my series in which we are looking at getting started with OpenInsight 10. And this video is a little bit of a milestone video. It's also one that you can either follow through or you can see what we're going to build, stop the video and go and build it yourself. Essentially what we're going to build is what we're looking at on screen. It's the appointments window that will be used to track or to capture data about appointments in our clinic, and then in a later video we're going to hook that up to the patients window so we can see all of the consultations for a patient, and then from the patients window we will be able to launch this one and view the appropriate record. Now there's no reason why at this point you shouldn't pause the video, go away and produce this window yourself, because everything that we are going to do we've covered in the last 30 odd lessons. There are 2 pages to this form. We've got the first one where we've got the appointment number and the patient number. The patient number is what we're going to use to link it across to the patient, obviously. We've also then got the appointment date with the ability to set today or to have a date picker. We've got a combo box to a doctor, etc. And then on tab 2 we've got a few additional controls. We've got an image, an edit table, an edit line and a button, and we are going to get to this in a future video, so there won't be any database associations with any of these controls at this time, because whereas previously we just had one image that we were linking to the patient record, in this form what I'm going to try and do is have multiple images. So let's say that we are running an eye clinic and we're taking maybe 4 or 5 pictures of each eye, then we might want to add those images into here so that the doctor can see what's going on, essentially. So this is the window that we're going to be creating. Now, as I said, you can either go away now and create this video on your own, or you can sit and watch me. Yes, I've already recreated this, but I'm going to sit and recreate this window on screen. I'm going to leave the video running. I've got a bit of a cold, so I apologise if I'm sniffing a little bit. But I'm just going to leave the video running. I'll probably jibber jabber to myself a little bit. You'll see some quiet periods where I'm trying to work out how to do things. We could be hitting the debugger. We're going to be creating pop-ups. We're going to be creating code. We're going to be creating images. A whole load of stuff. So it's going to be quite a long video. So if you want to recap, sit and watch it. Otherwise, hopefully your screen will look something like mine when we jump on to the next video. So like I said, I'm just going to leave this to run, and yeah, hope you enjoy it. Okay, so let's run up our copy of OpenInsight. And those of you that are vigilant will see that I've actually got 2 copies of OpenInsight running now. That is because on a separate screen I'm not recording. I have actually got the form that we're gonna build. I've done it once before. Like all good videos, you rehearse before you actually do the live one. It's still going to go wrong, but hey ho, let's see what happens. Okay, so the first thing we'll do, we'll file, new, form, and we're going to want a data bound form. The table that we want is MP apps. Now we recreated that previously. and not all of the fields are in here. Some of the fields on the second tab are not actually in here. We're going to add those later on when we get to that particular video, but I'm just going to add all of those. Okay, so as far as the control names or control types are concerned, the only one that I want to change in here is this one to an edit box, and actually we'll change the doctor to a combo box, I think. Otherwise I think we should be good. I don't need the default menu, and I don't want the OK and cancel buttons because it's all going to be driven from the main MDI frame. So we'll click OK when we're ready, and OpenInsight will then create us a form. Now I tend to make this wide. I then tend to grab all of my controls and I move them over away from my working area. Now the reason that I've done that is because I want to have a group box at the top. I'll just position that, and then we'll just set the width to 680, and we'll do a height of 90 for the moment. And then onto that, actually before we do that, let's just style this. So group, I'll call this header. The text, record details, and I think I'm going to want to have my font to be bold. Okay, that's better. Then we will grab the ID, link to patient, those controls, and we'll also have name and that one. So if we do a cut and we do a control and paste, then we can drop those controls on there. Now a couple of them, as in the name one is off the bottom there. I'm not going to worry about that for the moment too much, because what we'll do is we'll go into search for those controls, and then if we find the label name, and we'll change that to 100. Okay, that's not enough, we'll change it to 50. That brings that up, and then we will also find the edit line, and again we'll set the top to 50. Basically what's happened is it's just rendered it off the bottom of the group box. So I could have made the group box longer, that would have probably made sense, but I didn't. Okay, so we'll change the background color on this to whatever. That just enables me to be able to see where I'm aligning these controls. We'll do a control A to make that the same width. And in fact, I'm going to change these names. This one's going to be appointment number, so it makes it something a little bit more obvious. So I'm going to need to drag that a little bit wider. So we'll select them both, Control A, and instead of link to patient, I'm going to change that to patient number. Okay, that's cool. And I'm just going to Control and down once, just to bring that down slightly. I think that's a little bit nicer. Bring that control into there, drag that one into there. And we'll make both of these the same size, Control I. We'll grab name, pop that there, and that name control will pop there. That's probably a little bit wide, so let's bring that in a little bit. These two, for no real reason other than I use it because these are required fields. We'll set these to khaki. set those to required. Okay, so we'll go for a bitmap control, drop that onto there, and I think we'll make that width 64 and a height of 64, and then we'll just tab off of there, or mouse off of there, and we'll position that one there. Now I haven't got the graphic that I'm looking for to put into that location, so I'll load up my zip drive and we will bring it onto this screen so you can see what I'm doing. USB drive, we'll go to our image library and to PNG, 64. Do I want a 64? No, actually, let's go for a 48, I think, because that's going to give us some area around. We'll go for shadow, and I think that we'll go for doctor. Okay, for some reason that is not finding it, but there we go. We'll copy that and we'll put that into where we have our OpenInsight, MP Clinic, images. This is going to be a form image, so we'll go Control V, and I'm just going to identify that as a size 48. While we're here, actually, I do need a few more images. I'm going to put these onto buttons because these are going to be for the tab. So let's just open up another file explorer. Makes it easier for moving between the two. So we'll go for our USB drive. Sorry, USB drive. Images. PNG. And we'll go 16 for this one, plain. And again, we want the doctor, so we'll do a copy and a paste over here. I'll leave that there for just a moment. I'm also going to need some sort of picture frame or a painting or something to represent the images. So let's just do a painting, so we'll copy that into there. It doesn't really matter too much about the images that I'm using. I'm also going to need actually an icon for the window, so let's just grab an icon while we're here, and I think we'll use the doctor one again. It saves me having to mess around too much finding images. That makes sense. It's just for the tutorial at the end of the day. Okay, so let's close out of here and we go File, New, Entity, and we want an image component. I'm going to do the icon first of all, so we'll navigate to where that is. Oops. So see, we need our copy of RevSoft. We need the folder where our images are, icon, doctor, and we'll do a save. So we'll OK that one. And then we're also going to want a what else are we going to want? Some more images. PNG. Okay, that. Okay, we'll navigate to our images folder again. We want the buttons this time. Now the reason that I didn't put the 16 in there is that I can see immediately which images I haven't already created. So I know that I need to do the doctor one, so we'll put 16 in now, and then we'll open it. We've already actually got that one, so that's cool. I didn't actually need that, so let's get rid of that one. I did say this video was going to be, or hope I said this video was going to be warts and all. 16 underscore, I'm sure I haven't got a painting one in there. We don't have a painting one in there. So do a file, save, mp underscore png underscore, and yeah, actually see I've got the doctor one there already, so that's good. Okay, I don't think, oh I know, yes there is another one you need, and it is the doctor one. And I think I've just made a mistake because that was a 16 doctor. So let's go and open up the File Explorer again. USB drive. Actually, no, it's on Forms. That's the one I want. Get myself confused. File. Save as. mp underscore png underscore. And OK that. Come out of there. Come out of there. Okay, so for this particular bitmap, we'll set the image to the 48 Doctor. We'll have it centered. Everything else is all fine. And I'm going to pop a single pixel black border around that, top, left, right and bottom. Okay, that's quite nice. I'm happy with that. For the window, we'll set the text to be appointments, I think. And okay, what else will we do in here? I'll worry about the sizing later on. As designed, I'm going to have that center of the parent, I think. The page count, we're going to want 2 pages. The background color. Now normally when I'm doing my forms I tend to have the same colour for the background. I pick something that I like. In this instance I'm going to go for let's try light salmon, see what that's like, and we'll set that to, oh I can't remember if it's vertical or horizontal. Vertical I think. Set this one to white. Okay, that will do. We'll see how that looks in a minute. Okay, the font, I'm happy with normally the default there. Not quite sure why the default one isn't there, but I'll set that to that. So okay, that. I'm not doing any translucency or show effect because obviously running it as an MDI child, the show effect doesn't work overly well. I'm not going to put an image on the background. I could do, but because we're going to have a tab controller, I'm not going to worry about that. All of that's all okay. Sizable, that would be good because we will enable it to size. The icon, we'll pick up the icon that we've just put into our system, so that's the Doctor one. Maximize and minimize button, okay, we'll leave those on there. Okay, I think I'm happy with the rest of that. Okay, so the next thing I want to add on here is going to be the tab control, I think. And we'll just align that into there. We'll select both of those controls. Control W. No, that wasn't what I wanted. Get the right key. Control A. That will set the same width. And I'm not quite sure how deep I want this particular control, so I'll just guess at something at the moment. Sort of something around about 320 will probably be fine. Okay, so formatting the tab control, we'll leave it as tab 1. In the tabs, we'll change the first tab to be consultation details, and the second tab we'll rename that to be images. Not overly exciting, but they'll do. For the tabs, consultation details, we'll set an image, and the image that we're going to be using is not an icon. It's going to be a PNG, and it's going to be the 16 Doctor. And for images, we're going to use that painting one that we dropped in there a moment ago. So that one there. So we'll OK that. Okay, that's looking okay. Now remember, for the tab control to work, we're going to need some code. So the first thing that we need to do is to find the code. And one of the easiest ways of doing that is to cheat. So if we open up the patients window on the form, we go to the events and we want the v-scroll event, and we will copy, and on the window for v-scroll we can now simply copy in that paste. Now we just need to make sure that the tab control is named correctly. So we are tab 1 and we're tab 1, so that's good. So we will compile that. It compiled. We'll save and close, and then on the patients window we'll close down that. We will grab the script for the click event, so we'll copy that, and for our tab control we will paste that in. It's really nice having these multiple windows open, or multiple tabs open, so that you can see exactly what's going on. Really works nicely. So we'll do a save on there. Now I did notice that I had a create event on this window. Sometimes I go back just to look. So this was disabling the maximize button. We're quite happy to maximize this window, so that's absolutely fine. I'm going to come out of there for now. We might need to go back into there a little later. Compile and save, and we'll close that when we're ready. Now to make sure that this is working, we'll go across to page 2, and I'm just going to drop on I don't know, we'll drop on an edit table. We'll then test run. First time we've run it, so it's asking us for a name. I'm just going to call this MP apps. So we'll OK that. This is the test run, so we can see our colours, etc. And if we go across to tab 2, then we can see that we've moved to page 2. Bit of a problem, we can't get back. So let's fix that up right now. We don't need this edit table, so we'll delete that for the moment. Go back to number 1. Now we want to have both of these controls to show on all pages, so we'll change that to true. If we do a quick test run, when we click across now, we get a bit of a problem. It hasn't changed because I was expecting these to disappear. Okay, so I just learned something new. If you haven't got anything on page 2, it won't go across to page 2. So if I test run this and we click on images, then it just stays on that one because OI knows there's nothing on page 2. And I deleted the control that was on page 2. So let's just put that edit table back onto page 2 for the moment. We then test run that. Now, okay, it works fine. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is just to drag through these controls. Now don't cut and drop them onto the tab control, because you remember, although it's not a container, so our controls need to sit over the top of the controls. So I'm just going to move them across, drop them just down there for the moment. I'm going to send the tab control to the back, just brings these controls forward, and then I'm just going to align these controls accordingly. Now if you want to, you can make the tab control smaller so that you can see the grid behind it. I tend to just do it this way. I'm sort of quite happy. I'm just trying to get them aligned up there, and these ones, just select them all. I do a Control L to align left, and then we want to take this one up. So 1, 2, and that one. The only trouble with just dragging is you very often move them from the left and the right. So if that happens, just select all the controls again, do a Control L, and then that will just align them left. In the same way with this one, what we could do is to drag that up to here. Now one of the things I'm going to do is, okay, the time, we'll pop that one over there. Let's just move that up there for the moment, because that should be time as well. So we'll just move these up. I'm just using the arrow key. Sometimes it's easier when you're moving things around. I'm going to make all of these the same width. Just makes it easier for lining controls up then. So what we can actually do here is, if this is over here, I can cheat, because I can do a Control T to make all of these top. So each individually, so Control T. Then I can grab that one, that one, that one, and that one. Control L, and that's a nice, quick, and easy way of actually aligning controls if you want to. So we've got an appointment date. That'll be fine. We've got an appointment time. So I'll just align that one. The appointment time is probably a bit wide. And I'm going to want to have a mask on here. It's not a mask. It's a Q banner, which is mm/dd/YYYY. And then I think we'll just make that slightly narrower, because we're going to want to have a button in there. I'll just drop that on there, and we'll make this 24 by 24, and we'll just align that thus. And we've got appointment date. I think we'll just change this to time, just because of the amount of space that we've got available to us. And we'll drag that one across to there. We will right align that, and then we'll just move that just across slightly. I think that will be fine. Now the other thing that I want to do is I want to have all of these labels so that the text is centered. The text aligns to me top left is center left, and we'll do the same for these. Okay, that's better. It takes time getting your forms looking nice, but I think it's worthwhile. So this is going to be button underscore, I'll just call this calendar. We don't need any text on it, but we do want a glyph button. And the glyph that we want is a PNG, and it's going to be calendar. Surprise, surprise. Okay, we'll go centered. Okay, that. Now, one of the things that we can also do, actually, I'll tell you what we can do. Rather than doing this the hard way, here's another little trick. Let's get rid of that one. Let's go back to our patients window, and we'll do a copy, and we'll just grab that across. There we go. So now we've got all of our formatting done for us. Oops, I've lost it. So we'll go into here, and we want button date of birth date, because remember it's come across from the date of birth. We'll bring to front. We'll change this to button underscore app date. And as well as having all of our formatting, we have actually got our quick event on here as well, which is to trigger the options for the previous control. So we'll just need to make sure when we are setting our tab order that we've got it lined up so that it will be talking to the options on this particular control here. And the options was to call the calendar. And again, if you can't remember the code, I'm opening and closing this a lot, go back to the options on the previous window, and it's called Pop-Up Month. So we will copy, we'll go back to this control, events, on the options, and we'll drop on the code, we'll compile it, successful, and we'll save and close. So if, like me, you're a hobby, not a hobby developer, not a professional coder, and you can't remember, then lifting stuff from other forms is great, particularly if they're similar. Okay, so we're going to want to set today's date as well. So again, what we'll do is we'll go back to the date of birth events. On the click event, we'll grab that code and we'll copy that onto the click event there, add in the script. Now EDLDOB I know is wrong, so we'll go back into the form, we will do a copy, oops, and on the click event, there we go, we'll do a paste into there. So we'll just do a compile, and we'll do a save and close. Get rid of that one as well. Okay, so let's just do a quick test run, see where we are. So number one, patient number 1, so it brings my name in, which is good. And if we want to set the date to today, that's great. And if we want the date picker, no options are available. Why are there no options available? Because we've got our tab order incorrect. Not too worried about that right now. We'll come back to that in a moment. Let's just set the color to blue to show that that's a clickable link. And then I think the next thing that we'll do is we'll have a look at the combo box for the doctor. So over on the list items, we'll do an autofill assist. So the table name that we want. Okay. What I'm going to do, let's just cancel out of there for the moment. And we'll go start. And system codes. You remember we had this system codes window that we built. Well, in here under code type we got people, gender and titles. So what I'm actually going to do here is to add a new one in called doctors, and we'll call this one A, B, C for no real reason. So Andrew, Brian, Chico, so that's going to be a doctor. Now when I was putting the code in there, you'll notice that it accepted a lowercase, I'm not sure that I actually want a lowercase. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a save that, just close that out and save that. Let's just test run that again. What have we got for people genders? We've got 1, 2, 3. People titles, we've got numbers as well. So I think what we'll do is under the columns in here, for the code, we will set text case to be uppercase. Now for those people that aren't following this video, they will have missed how to do this. So if we go into doctors, we'll come down and we'll go B, J, C, and we'll have a lady this time, Bridget, Jean, Connor, and we'll have NBC being Mike, Bob, Connor again. Okay, now what I'm doing here is I'm just closing down the window to force the save, because obviously I'm not running it in the context of the application, but that's absolutely fine. So now we've got doctors within our system codes. We can go back to our form and our combo box. We can go to the list option, and then if we go to autofill assist, we can grab the doctors table. The record ID we don't need to worry about. Actually, it's not the doctors table, I lied. Oh, I did say warts and all. This is going to be the MP system codes table. The record ID that we want is doctors. The field name that we want is going to be description, because we want the name, and we'll sort them ascending left, I think. So if we just do a test run on that, then we can see that we've got our doctors appearing in there as we would expect. So that's all okay for that. Right, for the window, we've got this white area here, and I do want it to be a little bit wider because of some of the controls that we're going to be putting on page 2. So I think what we'll do is just drag that control a little bit wider, and then Control A to make that wider also. And for the notes, we'll bring that down about there. That should be fine. Now, when the user makes the window bigger, we might want to resize these controls. So at this point, let's resize the window to how we want it to appear when it first runs, which is going to be roughly 1 pixel all the way around the edge. So I think we're okay with that. And the controls that I want to resize are going to be these two. So let's just do a test run first of all. And if the user was to resize this form, you'll see that it's all a bit strange. Doesn't really work the way that we would want to, because we need some of these other controls to move around. The heading one is a bit difficult because we don't really want to make the name or anything else wider, but it's also going to be a little bit strange if this box here in the image doesn't change, as in the image stays in the middle of the form. So I think what we'll do is we will auto size width on that group box, and for the image itself we'll simply right anchor. So now when we resize the window, then we do end up with this big grey area here, but we do still get our image in the right part of the window. Now we're also going to want to auto size width and height the tab control, and we'll auto size width the summary. We don't want to alter size height because we want it to stay in the same place, but we do want it to go wider. But for the notes, we want to make that to grow the width and the height. So now if we test run, then let's just get rid of this window. That's looking better. So if our consultant wants to put a lot of notes in now, they can make that window bigger. They can actually go full screen on it if they really want to, and it still doesn't look an unhappy window. These controls are filling the area quite nicely. So I think we're okay with that as it is. Let's just come out of there. Okay, I think we are pretty much done with this part of the form. So I'm going to change the background color in here to transparent. To signify that we're done with those controls. Now we're not done with these controls up here. Firstly, I can see that I have an error in my name there, which unfortunately now means that everything else gets messed up. So we'll just select these controls and we'll just walk them over just one place. I think that's fine. And the other thing that would be quite nice actually is if these controls, actually let's just redo that, these controls here were to line up here. So we go 1, 2, 3. I think that looks a little bit better. Now we're too wide here, so if we can reach it, then we could just move the side of the window in. But you'll see as you do that, then the controls are resizing as well at the same time. So what we're going to need to do here this time is, it's easier if we just change the width to, let's say 500. And then drag that across. Now the issue there was because this was right underneath the window there, made things a little bit difficult, and we'll do a Control I, and that's an easier way of aligning those controls. I think our image wants to come over one as well. It's nice to have things lined up if you can. It just makes the form look a bit neater and tidier. Okay, so for the appointment number and the patient number, we're going to need to call some pop-ups. Now again, we can cheat slightly because our patient number on the patient form is already set up for us. So yeah, it's pretty easy to set it up because it's only a quick event. But what we can do is we can do a copy, and we'll do a Control and paste, and then we'll get rid of patient number, and we'll just drop that into there. Control A to make it the same width, and we'll change it to patient number to be the same as the other one. And so long as our control name is the same, so this one was EDL patient number, so I'm going to copy that, and we'll change that, instead of link to patient, just be patient number. Now theoretically, if we run that form and we click on patient number, and I'll click me, then it's dropped into the wrong control. Okay, that's me not paying attention. Let me just test run that again for a second. Okay, I've got something wrong here. So the control there is EDL patient number. We'll go back into the events. Okay, well, we don't want to have that control, so we'll set that to not set. And we'll just make sure that we are picking up EDL patient number. And we'll just do a save and close. And we'll do a test run. Oop. Get rid of that form, don't want that for the moment. See, sometimes all this copy and pasting works, sometimes you can get yourself a little bit confused, as I have done here. Okay, so now we're okay. I mean, I've got a little bit of logic there because I didn't select the sequential number, but now that's working fine. The issue was that I was trying to read the record. So again, if you're going to be copying stuff from other locations and it's not exactly like for like, you do need to think about what you're doing. But was that the right thing to do? I don't know. Okay, so for the appointment number, we've got to do it the hard way. So we'll go File, New, Entity, because we're going to want a pop-up this time. So the title for the pop-up is going to be Appointments. We will select rows from the table. The table will be MP Apps. We'll do it by @ID. I think we'll be fine. We'll have the ID. We'll have the appointment date. We'll have the appointment time. We'll have the doctor. And we'll have the name. Okay, over here we'll have 5, 10. I think all of that will be okay. We're okay with the names. I mean, you could change the heading for this one from ID to something else if you want to, but I think I'm reasonably okay with that one. With regards to the properties, I'm not going to worry about the width and the height. The value returned is the row ID. The selection is single. The font's fine. I'm okay with the colours. I'm going to make it sortable, searchable, printable. Buttons are okay where they are. We can resize columns. That's fine. I don't need to worry about a lock column. Row buttons are good. Row numbers are good. Column headers all fine. Borders fine. We'll show missing records and we'll show a gas gauge, and I do want a green bar. And so if we do a test run, we don't get any results because we haven't got any data. So let's go back to our form, test run. Select number 1, patient number me. I'll put a date 1/2/19. A time of 09, just 9 o'clock. I'm going to see summary and notes. That's actually just made me think we need to look at the appointment number as well, make sure that we don't allow our users to to put in a date that is earlier than it should be. So what we'll do here, again, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to go back to MP Patients because on the lost focus for this event, I'm going to grab this code and we'll copy that into the lost focus on here. And you can see just building this form as we go along, so I'm jumping around a little bit here. So declare summary services, get today's date. We're playing around with that control, so we'll change that to be update. So we get the date, we iconv it. The date needs to be, if it's in a past date, so we need to change it to a less than. Thank you to Andrew for that. He'll know what I mean when he looks at this video. That'll make him smile. Just proves that I'm an account manager and not a developer. Oh, the message is incorrect as well. So we need to go for a, let's do an open entity. And this time we want the messages. Where's messages? Message boxes. So we've got a date of birth error one. And I like things to be consistent. So we can use this almost as a template. So we've got a date of birth error. So this will be appointment date error. And we'll just do a Control C, Control V, and the appointment date cannot be a date in the future. It must either be today's date or a date in the future. Please enter correct date. Okay, everything should be therefore fine. Now don't do a save. We need to don't do a save or a save and close, because it will overwrite what we've already got. So this time we'll go for a file and a save as. And we'll go mp_msg_ and we will call this appointment date error. So we'll OK that. Save and close. I think that's all okay. Hopefully I've spelt all that correctly. If I haven't, then now this is where you again need to be very, very, very careful. Can you see I've actually changed that, which we will copy, in the patient's one. So again, if you're copying stuff from elsewhere, then make sure that you are putting the code in the right one, otherwise you are going to break things. So if we go into, make sure we're in the form, and in here we do a Control V to put that in. So again, you've really got to have your wits about you if you're going to be doing all this copy and pasting. It's really powerful, but it can really get you in a mess. So we'll do a save and close. Now I'm just going to do a test run on this one, just to make sure that the date of birth comes in. Clear that out. Just make sure that we've got calendars working. Okay, so that's fine. I didn't mess things up. I caught it in time. Very close call. Okay, so on this one, let's just test this for a second while we're here. I'm going to put a date of 1/1/15. Okay, I've got something going a bit awry there. Let's just check the tab order. So edit line for the appointment date, and I need the buttons. Let's just move that into there. I'm tricking the system a little bit because we haven't done our tab order. Okay, I'm going to come back to that when I've done the tab order properly, because I've obviously messed up something there for the moment and we are digressing a little bit. Let's just get back to getting this this pop-up sorted out. So we got the appointments pop-up. We'll do a save and close, mp_popup appointments. Okay, that. Then in the events, for the click event, for that tab, for that text, we want a click event which is going to display a pop-up. The target is going to be appointments, and for the finalize we're going to send an event at the window, and the event that we're going to be sending is read. So let's do a save and close. Let's just make sure that works. Okay, it didn't, because we sent it to the wrong control. It's on the quick event. So the turn type value, I think that wants to be EDLID. Let's just do a save, test run that. And then we get number 1. The downsides to not being a programmer and not doing this every single day is I do tend to get things wrong and you have to go back and change things, but I am hopefully showing how quick and easy it is to change things in OpenInsight when things don't quite go as you've planned. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to make this a bit narrower just so that it's roughly in line with those. And I think I'm going to just move the time over a little bit, and I'm going to just move this over, just make the date a little bit wider. Oops. Okay, can't undo. What I did there is I grabbed the tab control by mistake. Let's just make those same width. So let's just make sure. See, I'll grab the tab control again. Make sure that we grab that with that over, and then we'll just put the button in the right place. Okay. Right, so if we just test run this again, then we can tab off, we can grab a patient number, Frank Bennett this time. We'll grab a calendar date, a time of, I don't know, 1450. The doctor is going to be Bridget. I'll just do a summary in there. And notes. Yes. We just test run that again. I could hook this up to the MDI frame and do this in a runtime mode, but okay, let's just go for that record there. It's returned, everything's all okay. The patient number, I can change that to Joanna if I want to. Okay, so we've got a slight issue there. In fact, the fact that we're still showing Frank Bennett. If I was to do a save, so let's just change that to Joanna. If I was to do a save, and we just run that one again, bring back that, we do actually get Joanna now. The reason is that we're not updating the calculated field when this has changed, so we might want to put some code in there to do that. Let's just try, see if I can work that out now. So on here, on a we'll do as a changed event. So on here we'll do a, is there anything we can do in here? leave it as general type, send an event to that edit line, which is edit line name, and we're going to send that a calculate. Okay, to do a save. I'm going to be honest with you, this is something I haven't done in the rehearsals. So number 2, and this time we'll change it to Bill Bennett, and it's now updated. Oh, phew. Okay, learning as we go along. So we'd like to save changes. Yes, we will. Okay, so I think everything now is all okay at the top here. So the fact that everything is all okay, I'm going to select all those controls. The background color I'm going to set to transparent and transparent, and I think we're good on there. I do need to make sure that that edit table, so that edit box, is the same width. Let's just do a test run, because I thought I did that a moment ago, but I might have undone my change. So, no, that's good. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, slight rendering issue, which I'll report to Rev. It's rendering fine, but when it comes back, it's rendering this edit box slightly over. So if we close out of there, close out of there, close out of there. Now, one of the things that I did notice, let's just close out of there, is with the appointments pop-up, when I test run that, I'm not overly happy with the way that this is all sort of pushed around. I'd quite like the appointment time in the middle, I think, and maybe the dates and a few other bits and pieces. So we'll go for, we'll put the ID centered. I know that dates probably should be aligned, probably right aligned, I think. But just for this, because of the date format that I'm using, I think I prefer that. The appointment time is really, really wide, so we'll change that to 5, and we'll test run. So that's fine. It's actually not taken that width. I'm actually going to leave OI to do what it's doing on there, but so if we do a test run, then I think we're reasonably okay. I'm all right on that for the moment. So okay, that we'll come out of there. Open up the form again. Okay, so what else do we need to do? Right, we had the issue, I think, whereby we weren't picking up if we have got a date. So obviously a date shouldn't be in the past. So if we put a date of 1/2/15 in there, then it shouldn't accept it. It's just clearing it out, and we're not actually getting the message, which makes me think that I've got a typo in the message. So let's just I can see straight away there where my issue is. I've actually renamed it incorrectly, so we'll do a file, save as. Some of you probably saw that I did that error. I'm going to copy that. We'll close out of that one. We've now got 2. We'll open this one. Make sure it's the one that's incorrectly spelt, and then we'll go File, and we'll go Delete. Yes, I do. I'm also then going to make sure in the event for the lost focus that we're using. Do a Control V, the correct name in there. So if we do a save and close, we now do a test run. Now if we put an incorrect date in there, then we get our appointment. Okay, so that's good. Right, no, I don't want to save changes. Yep, go away. Right, so the next thing that we want to look at is the second page. So if we come down to page 2, on this particular page, I'm going to drop on a bitmap control. Now you'll find if you try and click on the actual tab control, it won't drop it on there. You're going to need to find a part of the window where you can just drop it onto the window. So where you've got a group box and a tab control quite close together, that can actually be quite interesting. But just make sure that you're on the window when you do that. I'm just going to drop some rough numbers in here. Let's make that 268. Okay, I think that's probably going to do. What we can do is go back to here, and then we can see that we are at 16 and 144, and on here we are at 12 and 136, so we might want to make that 16 just so that it's the same as the other one. Right, the image, let's change the image from the default image, and we will show our awaiting image. Change that to centered. We will then grab an edit table and drop that on there. Now, did I already have an edit table? So this is edit table. Yeah, I've got edit table 2 and edit table 1. So let's just cancel out of there for the moment. We'll delete that one. We'll make this BMP underscore image. We will then find the edit table 1, which is probably going to be in some obscure place. So I'm going to make this 50 and the top 50, which brings it onto the screen, and then I can just very easily and quickly move that around. Now my machine is struggling a little bit because I'm recording this, and the recording software does take up quite a bit of resource. Okay, make that the same width. Worry about the height in a moment. I need, what do I need next? I need an edit line. We'll drop that into here as well. So I'll just do a bring to front to make sure it's the front. We'll do a Control L on there, and we'll do a Control B to take that to the bottom. Actually, going to move that up slightly. So we can do a Control B. And we're also going to want a push button. So the push button we'll just bring to front. We'll set the width to 24. We'll get rid of the text. Button underscore find image. And for the glyph, what have we got? Let's find one we've already got. I'll just do index view, that'll be fine. Change that to centered, everything else is fine, and we'll just drop that. Control right, so Control R, and we want that to be bottom. Okay, and we'll just make that a little bit wider, and then we can bring our edit table down. Now, I'm not going to worry about any of the other formatting for the edit table or the weighting image or anything. We'll do that in the next lesson. But I just wanted to get those controls on the form initially. Don't forget to rename your edit table. We'll change that to images. I think that's all okay. We need to change the background color in here to be transparent. That shows that that's all finished up. We're also going to want a bit to sort out the positioning of these controls, because when we run the form, if we are on page number 2 and our user decides to resize the form, then we've got the same option, the same problem that we had on the first tab. So we need to start thinking about the controls and which ones we might want to move around. Now, it would make sense in the real world to have this edit line and the button underneath the image, because then you can just have this table will size nicely. But for the video, I want to show something a little bit different. So what I'm going to do for these two controls here, I'm going to bottom anchor those. I'm then going to right anchor the button, and I'm going to make the edit line auto size width. The edit table will make that auto size width and auto size height. Let's just test run that and I'll show you what that's done. Okay, so if we now drag this wider, then we're okay on this window. We're also okay on this window. Now, as I said, it would make sense if this edit line was underneath the weighting image. We don't really want to make the image any bigger, so I'm happy for that to be at that size, and we will end up with a white space at the bottom here. But the table is now auto sizing width and depth. But because we told the button to be anchored right and bottom, it's staying in the bottom right of our window. And because we said the edit line needed to be anchored bottom, then that's staying anchored bottom as well. And we've got quite a reasonable window now as the user resizes the window. Then the last thing we need to do, I think, is to set the tab order for our particular window. So if we go to the tab order button, first thing to do is just look through and make sure that we have got reasonable names for things. So BMP1 is not a reasonable name. So let's just come across onto here. So we've got BMP image and BMP1. Let's change that to BMP header. Okay. And if we just go back into here again, tab 1 I'm okay with. EDL7 I'm not. What was EDL7? Possibly on page 2. Probably that one there. So EDL7 is going to be EDL underscore image path. Always try and have sensible names if you can. It makes life a lot easier when you are setting tab orders and things. Okay, then what I tend to do is sometimes I go backwards and sometimes I go forward. So sometimes I will go to page 2 and I work backwards through the controls. In this one, it's quite a simple form. I'm just going to go forwards. So our first control is the group header. And then after that, we've got the label ID and the edit line ID. Then we have the patient number, and we want the label for that. So we'll put that into there. Then we have the edit line for the patient number. Then we have the label for name, which is there, which is good. The edit line name, and then we've got the BMP header. So what we might actually do is move the BMP header up so it's just there. That would be fine. Then we have our tab control. And what I'm going to do is just OK that. Go back to page 1 so we can see what we're doing. We then have the appointment. So the edit table images I know is on the next page, so we'll move that one over. Gets that out of the way. Label appointment date. We then need the edit line for the appointment date. Then we want the button for the appointment date, the label for the appointment time, the edit line for the appointment time. Then we want the doctor, and we want the combo box for the doctor, summary, edit line for the summary, notes, the edit box for the notes. Then on the other screen we've got the image, then we've got the edit table, then we've got the edit line and the button. So I think we're good. We just go for a test run. Now we should be able to tab through our form. So we need a patient number. So the appointment date, I'll just, oops. Okay, got an issue in the code there. Come back to that in a moment. So from there we tab across, button to the time, doctor, summary, notes, then we'll jump across to the edit table and we're good. One of the other things I want to double check is that our options works. It does now because we've got the tab order correct. However, when this control is empty, we get an error. So let's just very quickly finish that up. We've probably got the same error actually on the patient's window. But if we go into the events and the lost focus event, okay, so check to see the date of birth. So we get all of that. If val entered. So what we can do before there, we could do if val entered, sorry, val date entered is equal to nothing, then. So if it's nothing, we will do nothing. We're quite happy just to leave that alone. Put in an end else. We'll then need to bring all these over. So if then end else, so give that one over, and then finally we'd need another end. Indenting makes life a lot easier. Okay, let's see. Compilation is fine. We'll do a save because I've probably messed up the code. So now if we leave the appointment date empty, we can scroll through. Now, yeah, really, I suppose that ought to be a required field because you wouldn't really have an appointment without a date. So we could set that to a required field, but for now I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay. Right, so I think we're done for this form. I don't think we need to do too much more. I'll leave you to decide whether you want to make this control khaki. Well, I guess what we probably should So let's just change that to our khaki colour, because it does show that it's a required field. I suppose really we ought to set it to read only, sorry, not read only, required, that one there. Now as we go through, let's just do this as a new record. So the patient number is required, and if we tab off of that one, now just bear in mind that these are system error messages that we are returning. So data is required, the EDL_appdate controls may not be skipped. Maybe a user might not understand what EDL_appdate is. So again, I think as we've done previously, if we haven't, I'll do a video on this. We might want to grab the validation and do our validation at the end and have a nicer validation message. So I'll look back through the videos because it's been some weeks that I've been working on them. We might need an additional video in there, but that's the form done thus far. In a future video we'll be looking at these controls, but for the next one we're going to be looking at a context menu on the appointment date. I'll see you in that video coming very soon. Thanks very much. Bye bye.